How's it going, guys? We're going to be taking apart the Moto G7 Play. First thing you have to do, if you haven't done so already, remove your SIM tray. Next, you're going to want to heat the back up a little bit to make it easier to pry the back off. And then use a plastic tool to pry the back off. I'm going to use a guitar pick. And then find the corner that you can get the pry tool in between the back and the mid frame. Once you get it in, just work your way around prying the back off. Alright, don't pull the back off completely because the fingerprint scanner is still connected, so you don't want to rip the cable. Now you're going to lift the back up from the right side. So the cable over here for the fingerprint scanner is connected. You're going to want to pry it off. And be careful, there's some adhesive underneath the cable as well. Back aside. Next, you have 14 Phillips screws you need to remove. Go ahead and remove all 14 screws. Alright, once all the screws are out, go ahead and remove the black plastic cover. And then you're going to remove the black cover over here on the bottom as well. Alright, next we're going to disconnect the cable for the battery, which is right over here. Just pop that up. And then there's 4 more cables you're going to have to disconnect. The one for the fingerprint scanner over here, one here, and that black cable right there. Go ahead and pop those off. Next, disconnect the camera cable and remove the camera. Next, there's a black Phillips screw right over here. Go ahead and remove that. Now you're going to lift the motherboard away from the mid frame. So here's the back of it. Now disconnect the black cable over here on the bottom corner from the charger port board. There's one more cable right here, disconnect this one. And now you'll be able to lift up the charger port board and remove that. Alright, so now you're left with the battery, the mid frame, you have your vibrator motor down here, and you have your earpiece speaker right over here. If you ever needed to replace, like for example, the power button cable or the volume button cable, you would have to actually remove the screen as well. So you'd have to heat the frame up and pry the screen off from the front after you disassemble the phone, because you're gonna have to disconnect the cables. Because the cable over here for the power button volume switch, it runs beneath the mid frame and the screen. So now we're gonna reassemble the phone again. Get our charger port board, put it back in place, reconnect the cables, next we're going to get our motherboard, and we're going to slide it in like a lip, the top first. Make sure your cables don't get stuck underneath it. Reassemble or reinsert your front facing camera and socket. Next we're going to put the Phillips screw back down to hold the motherboard in place. Next, go ahead and put your camera back in. Now go ahead and connect the rest of the cables. We're going to connect the fingerprint scanner. Now go ahead and connect the battery cable. Now go ahead and put your plastic covers back in place. Pop it back in. Put your top one back in. Now go ahead and put your Phillips screws back in. And then go ahead and screw those screws back in. Alright, next we're going to put the fingerprint scanner back in place. And then we're going to put the back cover back over, and if you need to apply some new adhesive around the back cover on the inside, go ahead and do so. Now go ahead and flip it over, power it on, and you're done.